Yo, what is good people? It is Thursday night, not Monday night. What am I doing live? Well, this is a brand new series called, I forgot the name of it already, Collecting Uncensored. I am going to be bringing on different members of the comic book community and wanting to do a deep dive into how they collect. I want to hear tips, tricks, things that they just love, things they might not talk about normally. So that's the goal of this, is just to do a deep dive on the person that's collecting and how they actually collect. So tonight I'm honored to have as a first guest Brandon from MON Comics. Now, MON stands for Middle of Nowhere Comics, which is like very interesting to me because I don't have an LCS really either. And so I feel like some of our collecting habits are somewhat similar. However, the things that he collects are freaking amazing. He has an outstanding collection. So I want to go ahead and bring him out, and then we'll say hello to the chat, and then we'll get to talking about his collection. So let's bring out Brandon, MON Comics.
Oh. You caught me off guard, dude. You caught me off guard. I was like literally sipping my beer. I almost spit out my computer. Episode's over. Sorry, computer's fried.
I couldn't, like, I'm gonna use that, I think, every time now. Like, I'm just gonna take clips of people's heads and just have them dancing as Sam Rockwell.
As I'm watching it, I love Sam Rockwell. As I was watching it, I'm like, man, this guy makes the coolest stuff. Like from the Law and Order thing today to that, it's just like I got to get more creative. I'm such a loser. How are you, 22?
I'm well. How are you, man?
I'm so happy and so honored to be here that you invited me. Like I said, when you asked me like 2 months ago, because you're planning, I took a vacation day tomorrow immediately. I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, we're gonna not have to worry about me getting up at 4 a.m. for work. So thank you for having me, dude. It's honor.
I'm honored and thankful that you would be the first person up. So I'm, like I said, your collection's amazing. You're an awesome person, and I couldn't think of anybody else better to have as far as like a first time around. I'm super comfortable talking with you and stuff like that. So that just made it like a no brainer for me to be like, hey, I need to get this guy on here. So. Awesome. Let's say hello to the chat real quick. No, it's absolutely not too much. Mr. Akins, what's on the comic Rex? Says, where's Las Cruces? I'm sure he's around. I'm sure he's around. Jonathan Collectibles Astonished says, hello from Florida, not New Mexico. Just to verify that. So let's see. Mr. Akins says, is this a show where 22 tells us what comic? No. I've come to chew bubblegum and see a giant-sized ManThing, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Brandon, is your ManThing giant-sized?
Every day.
And fitting, Meatwad #1. Howdy, everyone.
I love that guy. I love Meatwad #1. I've seen him in chats, and it's a great name.
Right. Brian LCS, evening on. What's going on, Brian? Thanks for coming out. There's Mon right here, saying hello to everybody. Let's see. Dale of Suspense, my iron brethren, along with Mr. Akins. What's going on, sir? Anybody else? There we go. Awesome. Thank you, Dale. Thank you for putting that out there.
Oh, thanks,
I need
Dale.
to, if I haven't already put it in the description, I will, but there will be a link to Brandon's channel, so if you haven't subbed him up, go over there and sub it up. If you haven't, I don't know what's going on, because man is awesome. Dropped an amazing video today for a CGC that he got back. I'm not going to spoil it. If he won't spoil it, he's more than welcome to. But I'm just saying, you got to go over there. You got to check out this book and the grade that came in. TJ, hello everyone. Hope I'm a great night. What's going on, TJ? Thanks for coming out. Side Quest, thank you for coming out. Hey, what's up? That was awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Who knew he had such sweet dance moves? Lettuce Comics, what's going on? Lettuce, thank you for coming out. I assume you know Lettuce.
Dude, if he turned off X-Men, I do know him. He just made his first video, and it was fantastic. Like, he said Mike from Lunch Money, myself, and Ricky from All Sorts of Words were his inspiration, kind of.
Nice.
And he made this video, and it's like him. I can't spoil it for you, but the opening was so incredibly brilliant first video, I was like, well, this guy's got it. And the fact that he's turned off X-Men 97 for this, like, I don't know if you saw that episode recently, but
man, I'm trying my hardest to like catch up on X-Men, and so I went back to the beginning. But my flaw is that I'm watching them as I'm going to bed. So I'm old now, and I fall asleep is what happens, and it's so bad.
I hear you, dude. I hear you.
But thank you. That is quite an honor. I've heard there's some big drama with the new one. I've tried really hard not to spoil it for myself. However, I think I did earlier by seeing somebody's thumbnail on YouTube. Everybody was being really good up until this one guy, and I'm like, oh, buddy, you, sir, can go somewhere.
Yep.
So, not you, Lettuce. You stay. You stick around and hang out. That guy that made the thumbnail, though, he can go. Unless you made the thumbnail. I don't think you made the thumbnail, though. Awesome. Good deal. One Shot Comics, thank you for coming out, hanging out with us this evening. Oh, shucks, fellas. Here we go. We got some more links coming up in the chat. That's awesome. Good deal. Subbed up Lettuce. Yes.
Yes.
Doug. What's going on, Doug? Thank you for coming out.
Huge ManThing fan right there.
There we go. ManThing all around. All right, we've caught up with the chat, Brendan. Now it's time to figure out how you collect. And you can be uncensored about it as well. So, hide your kids, hide your wives. And let's start this off. I think we all kind of have this thing, and there's seasons of it, of like what kind of collector you are. So, are you just a one strictly type of collector, or do you collect like, do you do like first appearances or runs or cover buys? Like, what's your angle? What do you mainly collect?
I think I agree with your first statement. You're absolutely right. We're constantly evolving as collectors, right? Like most people don't collect just one thing, because if you have more than one thing, you can kind of pivot. Like if you're a run collector and you're trying to put together the, Claremont run on X-Men, like you might get fatigued on that, and like constantly looking up or trying to find these books to buy. So it's nice to be like, oh, well, that's a sick cover over there. I want that cover. Like, it's a nice little distraction. You can get away from it, or else you're just going to bore yourself to death, I think. So even though what I've collected has changed in the past couple of years, I can still consider at the root that I am a key collector, because I'm a fan of history in general, but I love the history tied to comics. And when characters first appeared, what was going on in the world that time? Black Panther with the civil rights movement, like stuff that was going on in the 80s, and communism, the Red Scare, and even in the 60s too, the Red Scare, World War II and stuff. It was fresh. So I love stuff that sets reality into these comics and makes them a factor. And I also I'm like Ricky from All Sorts of Words, like owning that character. If I see them in another medium, I get jazzed that I'm like, I got his first appearance, like I get jazzed that I own that. Like this thing that's become a multimedia thing, through, for 4 decades, since this character came out, and I own his first appearance, is huge to me. So definitely key collector. And then just a few runs I focus on that, like, that allows me to, like I said, when you're focusing on building a run, like, you can do it for a while, but then you can always swing off and be like, oh, I really need that. I want that key. I've always wanted that key, or this fits in there. Luckily, with a Fantastic Four run, most every damn book is a key. So it's like,
right?
It's like,
right?
It was insane. But, putting together the volume 1 of the ManThing run last year, that was fun. And, some of my mostly it was, Fantastic Four and the first volume of ManThing. This year I'm focusing on Adventure into Fear, which started as Fear in issue 1, and then it goes Fear 1 through 9, and then 10 it transforms into Adventures into Fear with the ManThing, and that runs from issues 10 to 19, and then the 20th issue they start on a Morbius arc. Okay. So I was only going to go up to 19 this year, but I might just go after the whole run. So yes, I do collect multiple ways. Nice. If a modern cover strikes me, I'll absolutely grab it. Like I love watching some of your shows. Then I learn more, what modern books are out, and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't know that existed. Like maybe I'll give the story a try too. But yeah, so I'm kind of I have a few facets I like to go after: keys, runs, first appearances.
Okay, Cool. Do you have, so you were talking about Adventure into Fear and Fear, that whole run. Do you have any of those like books like just close by where you can
I do.
just show off?
Yeah, so I am in a very small space. I share an office with my wife, and the way I have to like be set up is to have access to all of my books at every time. Like I saw your short box collection, and I was like, wow, he has a ton of comics. Like my collection is very small, and they got back into this 3 years ago. I liquidated my Magic the Gathering collection to fund most of it, picked up a couple small collections and flipped them. And then now it's just like stuff I got last year that maybe I'm not in love with, I'm turning into bigger things, you know? So my Fear run, so like this is the first. Now these are all the Fear books, 1 through 9, are reprints from earlier titles like pre-hero Marvel. I'm really into pre-hero Marvel monsters because DC had already established its character base through the Golden Age and stuff, you know? Marvel didn't have anything till the Fantastic Four, really. So from when the Comics Code Authority, a lot of what they, you know, could do, monsters carried Marvel, helped them limp along to the hero era that we know now. So these books all reprint Astonishing Tales, Journeys into Mystery, Strange Tales, all those early Silver Age books. So the art is all the same. You know, Stan Lee and Larry Lieber did most of the stories. Then Jack Kirby was on some of the art. I think Dick Ayers too. So this is like a thicker book, which is great because there's so many stories you can dive into in here.
Yeah.
There's 4 or 5 different little compilations, and they always have that little twist. And some are that it's dated, you know. But again, it's a look into history of how people acted and talked and thought at that time. And I'm a horror guy, so anything with monsters. So that was issue 1, Fear number 2. Fear number 3. This is all started pretty much. I got 1 last year, and then I've been going after them this year. So 4, and you could see how they had that Silver Age look, you know.
Right.
I turn into a Martian. Number 5. I forgot who did this cover. This is not Kirby. It's someone else. 6. So you'll see it's all Fear. 7.
That's a recent one.
8.
7 is.
Yep, 7 was a recent one. I traded for that.
Nice.
Off a guy who watched my channel. He found me on Instagram. We made a great trade. Love trading for books if I can. I think everyone does. And then 9 is a sweet octopus cover. And then this is where it really
you're
changes.
A tentacles guy?
What's that?
So you're a tentacles guy?
I am a tentacles guy. give me the hentai. CJ will love hearing that. I know that. ManThing and tentacles. The guy's messed up. I can already hear it. I can already hear him. And, can you hear him, that New York accent?
Yeah.
I love you, CJ. And then 10 is when it switches into Adventures into Fear with ManThing.
Awesome.
And so this is his first solo story.
Okay.
He appears in Savage Tales number 1 as like one of 4 stories. He's in Astonishing Tales 12 and 13 as part of Kazar stories.
Okay.
And this is the first one that he actually has his own solo story.
That was messing me up there for a second because I was like, wait a second, that's not his second appearance. Like I knew Savage Tales because that's a magazine, but then I was like, there's something missing, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So
yeah, they branched off. So Savage Tales didn't do great right away. Stan Lee thought there was a market for comic magazine-sized horror comics and stuff like that, and the editor of Marvel at the time, I can't remember his name, didn't agree with him. So Savage Tales, they did that first issue in 71, and then it went on hiatus for like 4 years, and they brought it back and started doing it again, and then those led into the Astonishing Tales. They arced ManThing on that. He was popular enough to. This is a great Neil Adams cover. This is the first appearance of Jennifer Kale, who's a powerful sorceress, and also the Nexus of Realities first appears in this.
She's rumored to join the MCU soon.
Yeah, I really think. I mean, how easy is it with the multiverse now, for like Doctor Strange to be like, I can't form a portal, but I know a guy in the Everglades that has access to the multiverse,
right?
And they could just go down, and ManThing could be chilling there. So,
I was talking about Jennifer Kale. She's rumored.
Bring her in too, man.
Yeah, she's rumored to be coming to the MCU. So but yeah, ManThing's already there, as I'm sure you know. Like,
yeah. it's weird. It's not the like if you read any of the books and how the Man-Thing actually is, it's very different from how they portrayed him. But I think they had to so he could have that buddy relationship with Werewolf by Night, which I think everyone loved. I think they're great together.
No, that was Werewolf by Night was fantastic. I love that. That's what I was going to ask you, and I've asked you this before, but I want it to go on record now and everybody to see. So you've got Werewolf by Night that's got the live action first Man-Thing in the MCU, but maybe some of y'all out there in the chat don't know, or watching the replay don't know, there was actually a Man-Thing movie. Tell us how you really feel.
Remember when you were a kid and you're flipping through the Sci-Fi Channel and you're like, this has got to be the dumbest movie I've ever seen? Imagine them taking your favorite character and making that movie, you know, and just being like, "What?"
Sharknado with Man-Thing.
Yeah. Yep. I watched like clips of it. I couldn't bring myself to watch the whole thing, but just the clips were like. But I mean, they are kind of following a story arc from one of his books, loosely about a company that comes in, they're trying to rip up the Everglades, and he's not having it.
Yeah, the story wasn't necessarily bad. I watched the whole thing. The story wasn't necessarily bad. It suffered from that like '90s CW kind of writing style. Is what
exactly.
It seemed like.
Yeah, guy and a girl, blah blah blah. Yeah.
yeah,
running through the
like
swamp.
That.
Don't kill us, Bottom tier collector just mentioned that Man-Thing can't be worse than the Swamp Thing movies. As a kid, I actually got a kick out of the Swamp Thing movies because they were so cheesy. That's all we had for DC Supernatural,
Right? Yeah, I actually haven't seen those, so I need to go back and watch those because I enjoy Swamp Thing. That's what I was gonna say. I don't know a whole lot about Man-Thing, and I don't necessarily. I know more, but still not a lot of Swamp Thing though. So, is there a difference to you as far as like why you enjoy Man-Thing over Swamp Thing, or do you enjoy them the same?
That's a great question. I do enjoy the Swamp Thing. He was more. He could talk. He could reason. I think I identified more with. I identified both. I'm a big guy. I'm like 6'3", 250. So like I identify with both of them because I'm bigger. They're these lumbering things that usually aren't a problem unless you piss them off.
That, I should identify really well with Howard the Duck.
You get into bed with Leah Thompson, you sly dog.
No, I'm just saying the short and chubby. Like that's me, like all day. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, so with you got me. So where they, identify with Man-Thing is more empathetic. He only gets flashes of his past life, whereas Alec Holland can remember everything. He only gets flashes, and he moves towards emotion. Like anything that fears him, if he touches it, it's gonna burn. Mm-hmm. So, but like usually he's just kind of doing his thing in the swamp, and if he sees something that evokes an emotion, that's what gets him going. And there's no reasoning with him, but he'll know if it's right or wrong. So I think that really always drew me in. That plus, his implications with the nexus of reality. I thought that was a cool, addition. Like Swamp Thing can control all the swamp and stuff, which Man-Thing doesn't do. I think they both have their great attributes. I just think I like Man-Thing's design a little more because that silhouette of his face and those big red eyes, and he can't talk. I just like the creature design. I've always been a creature fan as a kid. Like it's just cool when people come up with an original design. Swamp Thing was cool, but he was more humanoid, like Man-Thing, it's just the human body kind of, but everything else is gone.
You do seem to, from watching your videos, it seems like you do gear more towards like actual monsters than things that could be perceived as being human or once human.
Yeah, I think that's a good analogy a good critique. I do go after like that type of monster. I love the monsters, but I love superheroes too. I grew up, I'm kind of focused more like the Fantastic Four run takes up a lot of my superhero energy, but with the Daredevil stuff I've just got lately and like how I'm attacking that's been a lot of fun. So I'm just going to keep, mixing it up.
Nice. We got some few people that joined the chat while we were chatting, which is nice, and I want to go ahead and acknowledge them, though. We got Hack joined us. Thanks, Hack, for coming out, hanging out with us this evening. We got 23 Monch. Thank you, sir, for coming out. Appreciate you. Colossus Collector. You were saying earlier that y'all were the new alumni here, so nice to have him join us. New what?
New pledge class.
That's it. Yeah.
We had to go through the initiation together.
Canadian Survivalist, thank you for coming out. Fear is a great series. I missed that one. I apologize, but thank you, Doug, for joining in on that. Let's see here.
There's
Cody.
CJ.
Cody, where'd you get that? Did you call him? Did he join us? Nexus of Reality sounds like a cool concept.
He heard his ears ringing. That was it.
He heard tentacles, and he was like, what? What is this? My honey. Hey, honey. Love you bunches. Christina Payne, thank you for coming out. Appreciate you. Is anyone really live? I don't know. So, and Cliff on Comics, thank you, sir, for coming and hanging out with us this evening. So, the way that you described ManThing to me sounded a lot like a Ghost Rider version of Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah. It's a pretty good combo. Yeah.
You also threw out there that you collect Daredevil and Fantastic Four. Are there any other superhero teams that you like, or characters that you like lean towards? Because it surprised me when you started collecting, or when I noticed you collecting the Fantastic Four, because I was like, that's totally not monsters. It's not horror. It's not none of that. And then even more so Daredevil, because like I could kind of get behind like. There's a lot of emotions, I feel like, with Fantastic Four, and I feel like that's why I don't connect with them, really. It's more that family aspect and stuff like that. But Daredevil, I'm like, Daredevil, that's like one of my top 5 right there is Daredevil. And then you're like, yeah, I'm wanting to get that. I'm like, what? What is this? What are you doing?
So I love all heroes, dude. I wish I could collect them all, but...
They're not Pokemon.
Right, yeah. But, I mean, like, the Fantastic Four... I collect them because they're historical. They revamped Marvel. The characters that appear throughout that first run are just seated in the universe, the Marvel universe.
Okay.
But then Daredevil, he's my favorite street level hero. You think, like him and Spider-Man.
We don't mention his name here.
You think about those two, they're both street level heroes. Well, Daredevil, I guess I liked a little more, so I thought I'd go after a Daredevil run, because like you pick or choose, like I can't go after both. I'd love to own them both, but I like a lot of the heroes. I like villains too. I really like collecting villains.
Okay.
Like the first High Evolutionary or Mandarin or different like characters.
No, like you were saying earlier, there's some amazing, like, villains and stuff and characters that have just come up through the Fantastic Four. Do you have a favorite Fantastic Four book that you've picked up recently? Or just in general, like in your collection, is there one that you're like, this is my favorite Fantastic Four book right here?
It's definitely this one. I think this is one of the best covers of the Silver Age. You talk about Silver Surfer #4 with, that iconic, that's up there. But this is my favorite one. It's my favorite FF book, but it's FF49.
Oh, nice.
Just the composition. I think this is when they started, Kirby and Lee started really hitting their stride with this run. You go into 48, first 48's first Silver Surfer. 49, you got first Galactus. 50 is an iconic Silver Surfer cover. 52, you get Black Panther. Like it just starts this. 51 is just one of my favorite stories, because I do read. You asked if I I read too, and 51 is a story of this monster, where Ben Grimm turns back human momentarily because comics, and he really questions it all, and it's really great. Man, the thing is a monster. He is a monster, yeah. I guess he is a monster. I guess CJ makes a good point. So this is my favorite Fantastic Four book. Just the composition of that, man, like how Kirby came up with that.
Absolutely. The colors. Yeah.
I love to see him I'd love to be a fly on the wall and watch him draw this, but I love this cover. And
I'd love to sit next to him and talk to him while he's drawing and making this up.
but it creates so many great homages.
Yes, that's a recent pickup for you too, isn't it?
Yeah, so this was gifted to me by Awesome Toy Box with Troy. I didn't know existed. It's a variant, Virgin variant. I forgot who the artist is, but it's Fantastic Four antithesis number 2, and that is the villain. And this is his first cover appearance, and he's like the negative zone equivalent of Galactus. So that's just bad. I mean, look at those villains. So
are you gonna get that one slab too?
I might. No, probably not. To be honest, 22. I'm really trying to be selective.
Yeah.
And like really put it towards bigger things. But just to own that, like I can put it on my wall where my loose comics are, So, but yeah, this is my favorite Fantastic Four book, and probably favorite cover of the Silver Age.
I love that you have it with the matching label. That's freaking fantastic.
I walked into it. I didn't send it in. I didn't do anything. I had a pre-code horror book that was about fair market value at the time, $500. So I just threw it on a Facebook group because, like, my big thing is being in the middle of nowhere. How can I get comics? And I'm a part of like one Facebook group I found, Comics Buy, Sell, and Trade. Is the most trustworthy one. A lot of vetted traders and sellers. If you're going to sell something on that page, they won't even approve the post unless it's PayPal goods and services. So they protect you from scammers in that way.
Nice.
And I threw it out there. I was like, listen, I'm looking for an FF49 and a 2.0 because that's about what an even trade would have been.
Yeah.
And a nice guy from Canada who collects with his sons hit me up. And the first thing he texted me was, I got to stop trading these things away. And he had pictures of all three, the 48, 49, and 50.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I really just want that 49. And he's like, you got references? I'm like, absolutely. And we checked each other's references and we sent out at the same time. And it was just one of the most seamless trades. And so, yeah, I walked into this. I was just like, threw it out there,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is freaking fantastic.
Thank you.
I have a question to go along with what you were talking about there for a second, but let's hit up Comic Caps because he came in. Thank you for coming out, Cap. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Cliff has got a question as well. We're going to get to that. My honey asked this, and I could answer it. However, I want you to answer it because it's yours in your room. So,
that is the Predator. I'm a huge Predator fan. So it's not actually a mask. It is just a wall hanger, but it has ties to the original molds of the movies. I got it from a Canadian artist who knew the guy who made the original molds, and the Predator was a huge connection for my father and I. So that movie means a lot to me, and that kind of your wife helped me segue into, I'm a huge Predator.
Yes, that's a good 9.8 to have too.
Yeah. This was an AOK from Steppo. Better known as Collecto6 on Instagram. Absolutely phenomenal guy. And he sent me the first 4 issues, and I looked at them and I was like, I don't think these have ever been touched by humans. So I had it pressed and cleaned, and CGC graded a 9.8. So I had a 9.6, but I gave it to Comics Curing Cancer last year to be auctioned off.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because at that time, like right then, like Steven gifted me this, and I was like, that's at least a 9.6, if not a 9.8. And I've got this extra one, and I can be greedy and sell it and buy more books. But I was like, the C3 event was happening, and Mark and Rob and DJ Links worked so hard on that. I was like, here, just put this towards charity. Like,
nice.
If someone's kind enough, it's karma. It's good comic karma, right?
Absolutely.
It's going to come around. So, yes, Mrs. 22, that is the Predator.
CJ says not only Doom is a monster, but that Reed Richards is a monster as well. And an asshole.
He is, for sure. Absolutely. He gets him to half the trouble, yeah.
And Mr. Akins combats and says that he's not a monster, but he's written that way. I would go as far to say that I think Reed is more of a monster than Doom is, honestly. Like,
hot takes coming in on collecting Uncensored. I like it.
I'm just saying. That's funny. Colossus says that they need to get you into X-Men. That's another big run right there.
I like
never got
X-Men
into X-Men?
No, I like them a lot. I think it's a brilliant team and a comment on being accepted in our society, and it's a part of my childhood too. I grew up watching the comic or the movie in the 90s, and I watched all the movies when they came out with my friends at our local theater, and it's great. It doesn't touch me the way these other books do, and so I'd rather leave those X-Men books. I had a X-Men 101, the first Phoenix.
Oh, nice.
I do enjoy like being a key collector because again, that allows you to jump in. Maybe you're not a run collector of X-Men, but I can go get the first Phoenix, or I can go get the first Sauron. You know, that's the fun part. So I traded that actually to get as partial trade for that Strange Tales because that's just trying to get books that mean just a little more to me. You know.
You haven't showed us a Strange Tales. Now, wait a second. You don't have to.
Oh, I got it.
But if you want to, now's a good time to show us because, just saying.
So, yeah.
Boom, y'all. Look at that. Hot damn.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Can't tell how beat up it is back here, can you, Russ?
It looks great up front. I'm with it up front. Let's get it going. Yeah.
That trade dress, man. I mean, and then the bubble, the 10-cent bubble.
Yes.
This book is, 70 years old, so
it looks freaking great. Blue label and everything.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Joe from I've really, having to buy online, having that be my shtick and hearing that you're in the same kind of boat, you can dial in these great sellers, who has rare books, who's going to give fair deals and be square with you. And I had Joe on my last Big Five Live, and he collects comics and gets so many collections in. After the show ended, I was like, I've been hunting this book, and I was like, Joe, do you have a Strange Tales 89? He's like, yeah, I just got it in yesterday.
What a coincidence.
That's what I love about this hobby, 22, is, you start to get to know so many people. You can find any book you want, really. I mean, barring the heritage auction level stuff, it's not hard to reach out to a couple people we know and find these books.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask when we were talking about the Fantastic Four and things. What's some good advice, some sound advice for somebody to get themselves in the same position you've gotten yourself in as far as being able to find things like Fing Fang Foom and early Fantastic Four and being able to find trustworthy sellers?
So networking,
I suck at that.
I mean, that's the key. I started when I got back into it more. I was more buying on Whatnot because it was easy. But there's so many, bad sellers on Whatnot, as you'll have on any platform. There's bad sellers on eBay. There's bad sellers on Facebook.
Right.
Whatnot's just been in the face of more controversy, I guess. But I was able to, I'd find a couple guys and see that they're offering fair prices, accurate grades. They were and I would buy like one or two comics off them to see how everything went. If the condition was in what they said, like what they claimed it to be, whether it was VG or F or, near mint. And then the pricing, I would compare it to prices online. And if it was right in the wheelhouse or better, I would consider them. So Whatnot, I found Robot Monster Island. He's gotten bigger. He blew up. Like when I was first watching him, he might have like 30 people in the room, but now he's got over 100 because he gives he gives good deals. He gives and he's accurate on his grading. He undergrade. Like every book he's ever sold me that I've graded, he undergraded it. So it always came back higher, which you like to see.
That's what I felt like was the biggest thing with Whatnot, is that to like really get going and really get started, you had to take a good bit of L's in the beginning. And I couldn't do that because I didn't have the inventory I would need to be able to take those L's. Like, I know that like whenever you're getting something started, you're going to have to take L's. You're going to have to take losses. You're going to have to do whatever to get something rolling. But the other side of that is you have to have the inventory to be able to take those L's to really get something rolling. So
that's the biggest key. You couldn't hit the nail on the head better, dude, is inventory. You got to be able to have a show 2 nights a week and offer new stuff every time to keep people coming back, to build that customer base. So he was great. Collectibles is another page. He's on Instagram too. His name's Mark. And he posts up books at such fair prices. They get snatched up within moments. It's insane. So I really like him. I got a book from him I'm going to show tonight that came in today that I didn't think was gonna. And the other person I found was Shrinkies, which was like an outlet warehouse. Really good guys, graded fair. So I whittled down from probably 20 shows I was going to to 3 people. Like I took the time and watched YouTubers like myself and others that have already done the work for you. That's other advice I can give. I had a coworker who I worked with at my university, and he texted me and he's like, "Oh man, I made a purchase from Shrinkies the other day," and I'm like, "You collect comics?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, I've been watching you, and I wanted to get back into it, and you're right, they're really fair." And I'm like, "Okay, so this feels like it's come full circle."
Bro, you're an influencer now.
I'm just trying to help you find good fair deals. Like I could throw out some names you wouldn't want people to go to.
Yeah.
But then that's the thing. I try to be positive. I'm never going to, if I have a bad transaction, I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm just not going to shout that person out unless it was so horrific, like a scammer, then I would, but like I try to just focus on being positive with the sellers that I found. And those 3 were great. Instagram has loads of good ones too. Mark is also on there from Collectibles. Joe from 360 Comics sets the standard. And then 2 other sellers I found. N. Wilson Comics was a great guy. And Comic Fanatic 86, Andrew, I go to more than anyone because he's consistent. He has sales every Tuesday and every Thursday. And he's communicative. He'll tell you, I'm going to have $5 books. I'm going to have $10 books. I'm going to have keys. And the keys will be priced. So not only is he very informative on what he's got going on, so you are in the know, and he starts on time, he'll let you build a box. So if you buy something on his Tuesday sale, he'll say, "Hey, you just want to pay shipping and I'll hold it. And if there's something you want Thursday, I'll invoice you Friday with the shipping." And like, he has how many books is what costs. He's like, "If you don't, you want me to hold it till next week, I'll build you a box." That takes a lot of work. And you sell stuff. I saw your video, you sold the slab today. To be able to keep organized and still produce the same high amount of customer service, you got me. I'm coming back.
Right. Well, and that's even harder to do on Whatnot because you have to be on your P's and Q's as far as, because you're being held accountable by them, and they want stuff done. Like, even if it's from what I know anyways, and it's been a long time since I've done anything with Whatnot.
Me too.
But one of the last things that I heard is that there was a guy who had a show set up and he had a buy it now area. Well, stuff was selling in his buy it now before the show started. And so he got dinged because he didn't ship it out within the time limit when they were sold, not within the time his show started. And so, like, understandably so, I would think I would wait till the show. Like, if these other people want to buy other things,
right?
I would send them one box. That just makes sense.
Shipping. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Right, but to have to go ahead and ship it out, even though it's already been, like, I don't know, that threw me off. So,
but it's a fledgling platform, and I mean, look at eBay. eBay has now gone on to, doing live sales, and I'm a little miffed at that. I mean, they've invited some comic influencers that, good for them. They hustle, they work their butt off, but it's like, I have 100% eBay rating, like I have hundreds of items sold. Why doesn't the normal guy get a invite to a live show? Not that I would or have the inventory, but it's just like, man, they just love to get stuff to influencers.
Oh no, yeah, I'm with you on that. Which it's a business.
Yeah,
and I think that's the thing is like they love us collectors. They absolutely do, but it's because they're a business. Is why they love us collectors. Like
hell yeah.
Money makes the monkey dance. No money, no dance.
Yeah. I love that. I got to use that one. Oh, my God.
Let's say hello to Los Comics Journey.
Carlos,
thank you for coming out. Appreciate you.
Boy.
Let's see. A lot of people were echoing what you were saying as far as the people that you were buying from. So that's awesome. And then Cliff had a comment back here, a question. So he says, what are some of your favorite Ghost Rider keys or storylines that you own? Are you a Ghost Rider guy?
I'm not. I think maybe he was addressing you. I like
Me?
Ghost Rider. I think he's a cool character. He's supernatural. I've always just thought he was a cool character. I just didn't go down that road,
Because going back to it being humanoid,
yes,
and not necessarily like a monster type deal,
right? Yeah, that's. I mean, I do appreciate that. His, how he's tied to hell and the devil, and his story arc and his supernatural powers. I had a friend growing up who was obsessed with him, so he is cool. It's just again one of those paths that I did. Like it's like, where am I going to put my money? Where am I going to go down? Right. I like him. I don't love him enough to be putting a ton of money in because. Not only do I love to enjoy him, and I want to enjoy him now, but I mean, ultimately, these will become my kids someday. It's like, whether they want to
That's true.
use them to remember me or they want to sell them and go on vacation, whatever they want to do, you know. That's way down the line.
Got you. Ghost Rider seems to me like which we're kind of getting off topic here a little bit, but it's okay. Ghost Rider comes off to me as like an early version of Spawn. I never even thought about that until just now.
Did you just come up with that?
I just now thought about that. Where
this
I'm
video's
like,
going viral.
Absolutely no. My shit didn't go viral. Are you kidding me?
You're absolutely right. I'm gonna make it. You're absolutely right. He is the first version of Spawn.
He's Spawn. I'm a little shocked by this now. Like,
wow.
Okay. Anyways.
Revelations. I'm collecting Uncensored.
You were saying something earlier about how, having different interests, whether it be cover buying or keys, and you're mainly talking about runs and keys, gives you the flexibility to sit there and move back and forth. Do you find yourself moving back and forth between the two often, or are you kind of like, for me, for instance, I have got runs that I'm filling, but at the same time, if I see something that I've also been looking for that's a cover or a key, and it's a freaking amazing deal, it's like, I want my money there. Like, that's where I want, or, you know what I mean? Like, is that kind of you as well, or do you just get tired of just looking for just the right book to go into the run?
I am like you, 22. If anyone sees a good deal, I think, and it's in the realm of something they collect, they will be wise enough to jump on it and say, I'm trying to focus on this right now, but I can't give this up. That's what, it's funny you mentioned that. That's what happened with my Daredevil run is I saw an opportunity to jump out and buy the Crow #1, and it was expensive. And I'm like, am I putting too much pressure on myself for what I want to try to get this year, double 1 through 10, even though I had like 4 issues already? Like, that's a big thing to bite. And I was like, I'm going to pivot and the Crow #1. And if I get Daredevil, whatever, I get it, but we'll see what happens. The thing is, again, you go back to, you're getting bored about like Fantastic Four. It's like, yeah, I'm getting the Fantastic Four run, but it's like, oh man, I have to go after 94. Shit, that's the first Agatha Harkness, so like that's up to 94, and then like number 66 is his first or origin story of Adam Warlock. So I mean, there's so much within that. You kind of don't get really. It's hard to get bored with Fantastic Four because there's always seems like something new or some new character or villain is getting introduced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will. Okay, so what happened is JP from Absolute Game of Nerds YouTube channel loves the Crow too, and on New Year's Day he bought one. And I was like, congrats. He got it for a good song under fair market. And then a month later, and he's like, dude, there's an 8.0. I'm going to bid on that. And I'm like, can I buy the 6.5 off you if you get it? And he's like, sure. So he won the 8.0 below fair market. And then he sold me my copy at fair market. And that's when I was like, I got to go after that book. Like, I never thought I'd have a chance to own it. And it's not, 6.5 is good mid-grade. You go up in the 9.6s and 9.8s, you're talking, 4 figures,
right?
Which is not me. So, and JP hooked it up. He sold it to me for a fair price under fair market value, and that's when I was like, well, I guess I'd rather, this was a huge thing in my childhood,
Yeah.
And I forego the Daredevil for what I thought was the year, and then other stuff happened. But yeah, so that's where I ended up getting this from, and I haven't looked back for a second that I jumped into this.
Nice. Chris the Comic Vet is in the house. What's going on, man? Thank you for coming and hanging out with us tonight. So I'm sensing kind of with Daredevil, you said you put off Daredevil to get this one. I'm sensing kind of a vigilante type vibe as well here.
Yes,
so you're digging the vigilantes and the revenge type characters. Also, are you, with that being a 6.5 and you making a comment about it, are you one who is a by the book, not the grade, or are you
100%? I got a 0.5 FF48 behind me.
But it's a FF48, like
exactly, yeah. Like, so I mean, this is tough. It's a black cover, but all the damage is on the spine, and it's not that noticeable, So, to get a 6.5, I didn't think I'd own this book in this high of a grade, to be honest.
That thing doesn't even look like it's been pressed. Not that
No.
not that it necessarily help it with the grade,
Right.
but
yeah, no, I'm total by the book.
Nice.
If I can get into that book at the right price,
Right.
this is more, quantifying for later. If my kids, I like slabs to preserve the books, and hopefully someday when I'm gone, it'll be easier for my daughters if they want to move them to move them. It's
Yeah.
not like a
Yeah.
raw comic where it's very subjective. With this, whether you buy into CGC, which we get upset with them for a lot of things, but they still are universally the most accepted grader.
Right.
And I know my daughters will have an easier time taking a slab collection of the bigger books and saying, we know we can look up value, whether or not you're going to get 20% of that or whatever, but still, it's just, it's going to make them last longer. So
no, I'm with you. I agree. That's one of the things that I'm wanting to do with my like I've been making labels for a lot of my books and putting them on the backs, and that way I give what I feel like is the grade of the book, the significance of the book, the year, the volume, and the title of it. That way, if something does for whatever reason happen, my family can sit there and come in and be like, okay, this is what this is, and hopefully reach out to somebody either in this community or somewhere and be like, hey, look, we don't know anything about this, but we trust you. Can you
do you have a comic proxy yet?
A comic what?
Comic proxy.
I'm going to answer with a no because I had to say what?
So like, how you have health proxies that like make decisions for you? Like if something were to happen to you, your family, your wife's your health proxy.
Okay.
My friend and I, who I've never met him, he lives in California. We used to sell vintage Star Wars figures and trade stuff to each other.
Yeah.
We became friends on Instagram about 10 years ago, and we've stayed in touch, and he's moved into comics now. And we have already, we trust each other so much, and he's got a little girl and I got my 2 little girls, and we've become such good friends that like he is my comic proxy and I am his. So
nice.
he has my name and my phone number and contact, email, and information written down with his books.
Yeah.
And I have the same in the safe with my books.
Oh, I need to do this.
So if anything were, unfortunately, like I hate to be, comic book power of attorney. So, God forbid, but you don't know what life holds. And if something were to happen, to be able to know that one of my friends is going to say, okay, unfortunately this happened, but I'm going to make sure you get, as much as we can, and you're not going to get screwed by someone. Because let's face it, like our collections start to get to a point, where like someone would love if I got knocked off to come in here and be like, they don't know what they got. All right, well, I'll give you $100 for all this, and just rob my family blind.
Right. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, man, that like you have to worry about that stuff, after you pass or whatever the case is.
We got to worry about a lot of stuff. Where there's money, there's shenanigans,
Designated comic survivor.
There you go.
So what is it? Well, let's say hello real quick to John's Comics with Kids. What's going on, sir? Thank you for coming and hanging out with us this evening. So what is it with the vigilantes? What is it? What's got you?
I love a good revenge story. I mean, The Crow, okay? We know that Eric Draven watches his girlfriend get brutally murdered and raped, and he comes back and avenges every one of those. Everyone likes to think they have a love so strong that they do anything for that person. And he literally does it. He comes back and kills everyone.
Yeah.
Daredevil, that first issue where the Fixer kills his father, he's avenging his father's death. Like, how many of us would, if in that situation, would feel motivated to avenge our father's death? So it's just avenging these powerful relationships that have been broken, I guess, is what really drives me into it,
Got you. What's your goal with the Daredevil set? Like, are you just going for, 1 through, is it 7 or 8? That's
1 through 10, I was thinking.
1 through 10,
at the beginning of the year, because I had like 4 issues already.
Nice. You got any show us?
Well, they're all on my wall. So like all of them are in nice Mylar. So like 8, 7, 4, and 3. And I kind of fell into all these. Like these, a local friend had and gave me a deal on. And this one on Instagram I got from a gentleman. And this one, another one I kind of fell into, the first Stiltman. So I looked at it and I'm like, I have these 2. I'm like, well, these are still in his yellow suit, I'm like,
yes,
those are iconic.
I love the yellow suit.
I fell into First Stilt Man, and I'm like, well, that's a great key for Daredevil. And then I got this online. I'm like, okay, I'm 6 away from the first 10. You know, of showing like how his character progression of his suit, and Wally Wood takes over, who's a fantastic artist, and gives him his new suit. I mean, that doesn't happen with characters too often, you know? And then I looked at my wall one day and I said, okay, do those 5 slabs mean as much to me as it would owning Daredevil #1? And the answer was no. Like,
yes,
being able to,
let's go.
I didn't even see this when I got it. When I held this in my hands, all I looked at was this. I didn't care. I was like, this book is from 1964, and it's got the Fantastic Four on it. It's got Spider-Man, of course, first Daredevil, and Karen Page and Foggy, and I wondered why it was 1.0 when I saw it. I was like, well, that looks too good to be a 1.0. Cover's detached. Guess what? It's not ever coming out of here.
You can't tell it's detached from that case,
right? And I read the story on my phone in the Marvel Unlimited app. I read it before I got it, and I read it multiple times, and it was the right price. And I said, if I could sell 6 slabs and get this, you know, and those 6 slabs were keys, but they weren't this key.
Yeah,
you know, they weren't a big Silver Age key, so I jumped into it, and I haven't looked back. I can't even tell you 3 of the slabs that I sold. You know, the biggest one was ASM 50, which I'll get back. Like it's easier to get those smaller slabs. It's easier to get those back though, you know, than it is to, you know. I mean, that book was like a $400 book, you know, as opposed to this one. So
yeah,
I ended up with this, and then I was like, all right, let's make a run at it. Let's make a go at it. And I was in a chat with a bunch of other people, and I said, keep your eyes out for Daredevil #2 in a 2.0. That's what I'm looking to pay. And within seconds, Ricky from All Sorts of Words said, this one's on Mercari. And it was on there for $220. And I looked up fair market value was $195 for 2.0. So I sent the guy an offer of $175, and he came back with $195. And this just came in yesterday.
Yes, let's go.
First time buying off Mercari.
Awesome.
And
congrats, man.
Thank you, dude. On your show, it's an exclusive.
That's awesome. I'm so honored right now. Jeez and Pete's.
Someone said it. Nick Cage is totally playing Electro here. Look at that. That's Nick Cage.
Who said that?
I think it was Ricky. I think Ricky's like Nick.
Oh, I thought you were talking about in the chat. That's awesome.
No, but that is great. But this was just another great. I mean, who cares if it's a 2.0? It looks great from my house.
Right.
And you know, it's the first their second appearance of Electro, you know, which is outside of Spider-Man.
Right.
And second Daredevil. So I put 1 and 2 together within a couple weeks. Just
man.
So when I dropped the video on the #2, though, man, you're gonna laugh how this was packed. I went to the post office to get it because I knew it was there, and I'm friends with it. You make friends with your post office, right? Like you make friends with them. Like I got my post.
I wish I
number.
could.
You got? Oh man, he texted me when my stuff's in, and so I brought him a Dunkin' gift card to thank him for that. But this was off Mercari. It was my first experience buying on there. It was really smooth, except when I went to pick this up, it was in a big manila envelope, and I'm like, oh no.
Not even bubbled?
I'm spoiled. We get spoiled. We get so spoiled knowing all of these great sellers that just know how to pack, you know?
Right.
And this is just a regular guy who probably had this from somewhere. So I'll drop the video, but it was sandwiched in between the layers of cardboard. No bubble wrap. Not one piece of bubble wrap.
At least they did that.
At least they did that.
At least they did that. But I'm with you. Like that, I would be dropping a reel or something. That, yeah.
But you know what? The thing is it was my first time Mercari, and the seller was great. You know, they don't get paid until you leave a review. I didn't realize that. I never bought off them. So like, I got a notification when this arrived, and I went on. I'm like, can I leave this guy feedback? You know, because I'll be honest, I gave him 4 out of 5 stars, and I said I couldn't give you 5 because, you know, you shipped quick. The book is fine, but I can't let you know that packaging was not all right. for the next guy, you know, like I was like, just get some bubble wrap and a priority mailer. You had to mail it priority anyways because of the size and weight.
Right.
So I wasn't mean about it. I was just trying to help him for future sales before someone did ding him.
Right.
But it made it to me. So yeah, I was, and so now I've got 6 issues.
Man,
out of the 10.
That is amazing.
Thank you. And
freaking amazing.
So then, of course, when your friends catch wind that you're looking for issues, Big Me McFly hits me up. And he's like, hey, I just got a collection. Check this out. And in his collection, he's got issues 9 and 10. I was like, you want to sell them? He's like, I'll do it for 100 shipped. It's like, sold. So now I just lack 5 and 6. I don't have them yet. So now I lack just 5 and 6 for the first 10. And next year I'll probably start working towards the whole run, because why not, you know, at that point.
Like the whole Daredevil run?
Up to a certain number, I think. I would pick a number to stop at for sure, just because of space.
Because you're not doing the entire FF run, if I remember correctly, right?
1 to 102, just the Kirby and Lee work, yeah.
Okay, so do you think you'd do something similar with Daredevil?
Yeah. Maybe up through Miller. Maybe do like Miller stuff where he, you know, he really changed a lot of how Daredevil was written. So I think I'd go to that.
Okay.
But I want to drop that exclusive on your show. I haven't even.
Well, thank you.
I got that in the mail, and can I do one more fresh pickup? This is another exclusive.
Absolutely. This show's about you, man.
So
nobody cares what I got to say.
I told you I traded that pre-code horror book because I was like, I can't go down that rabbit hole. I can't. Like, that's just a whole different ball game. Golden Age pre-code horror books, and the cover wasn't. There was a skeleton on it. I was like, you know, I'm just not. I got it because it was pre-code, but I'm not in love with it. And I was like, if I'm ever going to own a pre-code book again, the cover's got to be. It's got to move me, you know. It's got to make me feel a way.
Yeah.
So Mark on Collectibles, who I was Mark from Collectibles on Instagram, who I was talking about, threw this up the other day, and I couldn't believe the price it was at. You know, all the prices have dropped since last year, but it is Crime Suspense Stories number 24. That's just disgusting to me. There's no blood or gore, but that's a dead body in the tub.
I was gonna say, just the face alone, like that face in the eyes, like
the face and the eyes rolled in the back of his head, and this guy of what the suggestion of what he's about to do. Now this was packed like a pro. This was, you know, in a priority mailer box, within a Gemini, within bubble wrap, within a beautiful clear backing and bag and board.
They went all out.
Yeah, he does not mess around, and I bought this Monday, and it got here today. That's how fast.
Put some painter's tape on the back of that one.
Yeah, I'll switch it out.
That's the only thing they're not doing.
Yeah. He had great. No, like you should have seen. He had the sandwich. The last thing was in between two cardboard and the Gemini, and he had a tab that just said "pull," and this neatly came out of the the cardboard. It was really good engineering. I'll give him that. It was amazing.
Oh, you should have filmed that.
No, man, I wanted to be exclusive. I know. I wanted to be exclusive for your show of showing off.
Thank you.
My step into pre-code horror. So I got this one, and the only other pre-code it's not horror, but Weird Science 19 is a Wally Wood cover. It was a famous, like there's an astronaut inside a spaceship, and he's looking at the other astronaut, and the other astronaut outside is in his astronaut suit, but he's a zombie. And Mark is a solid seller, CJ. He's a really nice guy, like really easy to do business with and work with, and trustworthy. And so I want that book because if you get it and it's on the CGC slab, on you know how like they have like the first appearances on the left hand side, you know, it says used in SOTI, so it denotes that it was used in seduction of the innocent. It was one of the books they referenced in Congress as one of the ones that was too horrific for kids. So I would really love to add that one to my collection again because of history. The comics, like that is the whole comics code, right? Like pre-code into the code. It tells this story. And I love Wally Wood. He left us way too early. He was a fantastic artist, you know, from his pre-code horror stuff to Daredevil work. I mean, just awesome. So yeah, these two books came in the past 2 days. I'm like, I can't wait to bring these on 22 shows.
Thank you, man. That's awesome.
But hey, yeah, this is just disgusting. It's terrifying to me what he's about to do. I know what he's going to do.
So you've said several times and even by looking at the books that you've brought on, which thank you so much by the way for bringing those
Of
books.
course,
They've been freaking amazing. But you keep saying something about history and history, and I know that another thing that you've collected are like arrowheads and things like that. I've seen where you've collected that.
Wow, you're
So you
good.
seem to be a history buff. Is it seems like you're more geared towards the later books, and I assume because of the history, is that why you? I assume you don't dip more into to modern stuff.
Yeah, it's the history, for sure. Modern. I don't know much about modern. I will dip into modern, like you saw. Like if I see something such as this.
Yes, that was a hot book there for a minute.
Yeah, this is the Death of Sabretooth, an homage to Crime Suspense Stories 22.
Good number.
Yes, so that is yeah, right, the best. So if I see something like this, this is where I become a cover buyer, right? Like,
Yeah,
I don't need to know the story. I know what this cover is telling. So, but this also ties to history of comics, so it kind of hits like a
right.
couple things. And I'm like, oh, they're homaging a pre-code horror book. I gotta have that. So that
Right.
stuff, old stuff, tends to drive me into new stuff too.
Right, but it seems like it's more when it's reflecting the past, reflecting the history where all these things came from. I know that you've mentioned earlier that you're a reader as well. I know you like to read all your horror books that you get in. Or do you read any modern though?
I'll tell you what. If someone suggests something to me that moves me, that will make me feel again, like that is just a really crazy thing that a comic has tackled. This one, Los from Los's Comic Journey, showed it on his channel, and I did a deep dive on it. So Nightwing 93.
Oh, that's the rape issue, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And I was like, he was talking about on his channel, and he ended up a-okaying me this to him. I commented, I'm like, okay,
Oh, cool.
I need to read that book, and he just sent it to me. He said I think he had another copy, and I read this and was like, my gosh, they're tackling sexual assault, of a male in this, and it's
Yeah.
very the trauma. You can feel the trauma in this story. It's insane. It's so well done, and so if someone suggests something new to me that is going to be really something crazy the comics are talking about, I will absolutely read into it. Or if I like the character itself, this was Bigby McFly sent me this part as part of a deal.
Oh, cool.
The Books of Doom. So this is a whole trade paperback graphic novel, if you
That
will.
sounds like a comic book Bible.
Oh, it's great, dude. It is the whole telling of how Doctor Doom came to be, from his childhood up till now.
Oh, that's cool. I
And
need to find that.
it is a fun read. I couldn't put it down. And then I read it like 3 more times, and you see why he's the way he is. And yeah, so like again, like if there's anything new that's tied to something pivotal like this, where Bigby was like, "Hey, I think you'd really enjoy this." I'm like, yeah, throw it in the trade. Like I'd love to give it a read.
Yeah.
I do like reading the modern, but the old books are great. They're historical, but they can be campy.
Right.
Gee Willikers, we got to get away from them. It's like, yeah, come on, like.
So I started reading the Tales of Suspense where Iron Man first started, and there were so many things they could do back in the day with transistors. And the funny thing about that is, like, I work in IT, and like I've done board work and stuff like that, soldering, whatnot, like that. And so just to hear them continue, oh, the transistors were turned up to this, and the this. And I'm like, that's not how that works.
That's not how any of this works.
That's not how this. That's, but yeah, the campiness. It's yeah.
Hellboy.
Oh, that's my guy. Yes.
I love. So this book, 22, was important to me because when I was in college years ago, I took a course called Comic Books as Literature.
Oh,
And
cool.
the assigned reading, the professor was awesome. The assigned reading was V for Vendetta, Concrete
Nice.
#1,
Okay.
Killing Joke,
Oh, nice.
and this. And I was like, Hellboy, and I immediately loved Mignola's art. And then I read it, and
Right.
being a supernatural monster creature guy, I fell in love with the character. and I will read any and everything. I mean, I was so obsessed. I was drawing, amateur art of him.
Oh man, amateur.
This is my
Man, that looks
bookmark.
awesome.
Thanks, dude. It's my amateur art. I wanted to go on. I wanted to get in a chat of In Between the Lines sometime, because I do enjoy drawing certain characters.
Man, that's cool.
Thanks, dude.
No, that looks really good. I like it.
Thanks, man. I always loved drawing. I sucked at it, but I've kind of just trying to train over the years to get better at it. But I love Mignola's style with the shading. Roscoe, yes, I want to go draw in your chat sometime.
Yes.
I need to do it. Like, I love Hellboy and I love drawing monsters. So yeah, I love Hellboy. Because growing up as a kid, I was kind of a nerd for like all those like sci-fi or like fairy tale stories or creatures. Ooh, here's one for you, Roscoe. I loved. I was trying to draw this panel. So Rasputin.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Man, eyes are one of the worst. Like they're the hardest thing to draw. And for me, anyways. For me, eyes are the hardest thing to draw. But if you can get them right, it makes the absolute rest of that face.
Yeah, just loved. I just want to be in the chat, Roscoe. I'm not good enough to be on your man. You guys are A-level.
You need to knock that shit off, Roscoe. I'm not gonna tell you what to do with your show, Roscoe. But if you can get this guy on here, that would be freaking amazing.
But him going to like take on different like Baba Yaga or different mythical creatures I read about in
Baba Yaga.
Like I loved that he took on, and he was a smart ass about it. I loved his whole persona. Just kind of a dick. Like I like that. So all the stuff I've been reading lately, I brought. Of course, I have The Crow because this is like the first 4 issues of the comic, and I have all my notes of like different panels or different things that struck me, like Eric's death or the Fun Boy art stuff that like was right from here to the movie. Like I really enjoyed seeing that, and Roscoe. So I mean James O'Barr. I mean he was just. I was just recently watching a documentary on The Crow yesterday, actually, 22, and they interviewed James O'Barr, and it was when he was younger. And that man, his life, even besides the tragic stuff, like he grew up in the foster care system.
Oh,
and
I didn't know that.
He would be like, parents would take these kids out of the house for weekends with financial gains as the motivation. And he would like sit by himself in a corner and just keep his mouth shut and just draw because the environments he went into were not the best all the time. It's giving me chills. It's just overwhelmingly sad. Like to go through what he went through and be able to translate it into art and writing is just, I mean, like, it's unbelievable. It just moves me. That's the kind of stuff I love reading.
Yeah. That was going to be actually my next question. Like, what are you reading lately? So,
a lot of The Crow. I've read that like 3 times since I got it. A lot of The Crow, and then like my Marvel app. Like I'll go back. The Marvel Unlimited app's great for like all the old issues. Like if I find like the original story of a monster in Fear #7, I'll go back to Tales to Astonish and like read it and see what it was like in the original. And put it on my collecting goals for next year.
Nice. That's so. I'm seeing indies, like solid indies with The Crow, Hellboy, lots of Marvel. Do you have any love for DC though?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. I don't love their characters as much to sink money into them.
Okay.
If I can pick them up cheap enough, I will. So like. This one kind of like, I like Mike Mignola. I like Batman. So I got
nice.
This signed by him.
Yeah.
I got this off a Whatnot seller, I believe, who bundled a couple together, but I love his art and I love Batman. So I'll absolutely cover buy the shit out of Mike Mignola art.
He is so unique. His style. There's nobody else that looks anywhere near him.
There's not, dude. And then also for DC, stuff like Challengers of the Unknown.
Okay.
Like that cover was so Fantastic Four 49 came out in 2 months before this one. So Kirby creates Challengers of the Unknown for DC, leaves DC, goes to work on the Fantastic Four, and some artist at DC is like, "Screw you, man! We're gonna swipe your cover." I mean, it's to a T. So if I do have something that even is obscure with DC, I will buy it if it has a tie to Marvel like that. I would love to read more DC. Justice League Dark, I do collect some of them. Some Swamp Thing, I love the Justice League Dark. I think that DC does the supernatural better than Marvel.
Yes, I agree with you on that.
I mean, between Zatanna, Etrigan, the Demon, Constantine, Swamp Thing. I mean, that's a hell of a powerful team. Deadman. I just think they have really cool supernatural characters.
Speaking on Batman and Mignola, do you have any interest at all in the villain, the ventriloquist, and Scarface? I know it's supernatural, but it's not a monster.
I don't know much about him.
Okay, so the biggest thing about it is that their first appearance is in Detective Comics 583, I believe, and it's a Mignola cover. It's got artwork, and it's a Batman book, so it's a villain. It's like it hits a lot of things.
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's a really cool cover.
So when I see stuff like that for sale, it piques my interest. Maybe I don't jump at it, but I'm like, Mignola, Batman, like yeah, it will pique my interest. But I was collecting more DC last year, to be honest. But I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna focus and really move my collection, I do love like Bernie Wrightson. Anything Bernie Wrightson did with Swamp Thing.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So I do really love him as an artist, and of course he came in and worked on Marvel later. So
I keep eyeing that Phantom on your back left shoulder is what I keep eyeing.
Yeah, Phantom Stranger again. DC. Yes. If it's a swamp monster,
prototype Swamp Thing right there. That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Neil Adams cover, man, and it's got it all. It's got a little good girl down there, and look at that. I just love that claw. How that claw was drawn.
Oh yeah. No, yeah.
This looks like
nails and everything.
I loved it. It looks like an amalgamation of Swamp Thing and Man-Thing. So it's got like Swamp Thing's mouth, but it's got the Man-Thing red eyes and brow and upper head. So I always was torn to this Phantom Stranger.
No, I love that book. I want that book in my collection. I don't know what it is about prototypes, but there's like a Doom prototype that I want. There's that I want. I
know the Doom prototype.
I have one of the Supergirl prototypes, and then there's an Iron Man prototype out there as well. I want that as well.
So there is actually a prototype to all the swamp creatures called the Heap. Have you ever heard of the Heap?
No.
So he first premiered in, I think, Air Fighters, maybe. It's a Golden Age book, and he's a swamp creature, and he is like considered the grandfather of all other swamp creatures. Essentially because it's the first one. But you're talking about modern comics too. Like I love Invincible. I watched the show first because I wasn't collecting modern comics, and I watched the show and I started reading the books. I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. So I wanted to get my first appearance of a hero from Monster Girl and first appearance of a villain with Angstrom Levy. So just to have a couple keys from that, I'm not trying to go after the whole thing, but just to grab a couple keys. So I thought for a comic that came out in 2004, it really changed a lot. It was a really good written story.
I still need to watch that cartoon. I haven't picked that up at all.
I showed my wife, and the first episode is very normal until the end. It's a shocking twist. When we got there, I was just watching her face, like one of those moments where like you're watching something with someone and you know what's about to happen and it's gnarly. And I was just like, here it comes.
Those are the best. Those are the absolute best. So you're lucky. You and me both are lucky that we have spouses that will watch things like that. So
yeah,
that is a blessing.
When I start deep diving into stuff, she's like, you're gonna lose me. So Roscoe was saying, Challenge of the Known. I think there was a prototype for Red Skull. Maybe there is a Red Skull like character. I mean, Red Skull does go back to Golden Age, but I mean that's pretty damn close.
I mean, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's say hello to Pam because they've been in here for a bit and we have not
acknowledged them.
That's
what it is. Thank you. Airboy. Yes. Hard to
find. I apologize. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us, though. Appreciate you and your support. Colossus Collector says, I would never watch Invincible if it weren't for MON. It's
when you learn about something good and you're like, you got to tell all your friends. Like, have you watched this? Have you read this? Yeah. It's just fun.
Richard on the podcast is like, yo, we need to do this. We need to absolutely watch this, and talk about it. And I'm like, okay, cool, yeah.
You would. You have Amazon Prime?
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be easy for you to blast through. I mean, I already listened to your show anyways, like a fanboy, but if you went into that, it'd be really good. It's really good stuff to digest on a podcast. Really good stuff to talk about.
Cool. Well, we're always open to it. I think we're actually going to do The Crow this year because of the movie coming out and us talking about it and how not knowledgeable we are of it. So, looking forward to reading that.
Where's CJ? I have to show my number one man. CJ always asks, so I'm going to whip out my man thing. He wasn't here, so I got to whip out my man for him. He's coming on my Big Five Live in a couple weeks. And one of the stipulations was that I couldn't whip out my man thing, so I'm going to go to him here.
But he didn't say anything about your giant size man thing, though.
He's like, I'm not coming if you whip out any kind of man thing.
Oh, okay.
All right, CJ. So that one's for you, CJ.
Tell him it's my show and I can whip it out if I want to. Oh, let's see. What a clock. Show him.
Again, with the man thing. Because, CJ, I'm just getting it out of the way because you're coming on my show and I'm not going to show him at all.
Again, with your man thing.
So Frank Bruner is one of my favorite cover artists, and he did both of these. And I just think that he captures just puts emotion in those eyes. So, yeah, you can't have man thing without giant size man thing. You got to really commit to the character, 22, you know?
No, I'm with you.
You're going to collect it.
Right?
Go with it.
No, you got to own it. You have to.
Yeah,
especially with the name like man thing. You have to own that.
For sure.
Like if you're a Little Richard fan. So it's the same thing.
Long Tall Sally from Predator was a great song.
That's funny. Oh, Lettuce is asking, what about a below average man thing? Asking for a friend.
That's
Little Richard.
Okay, we all work with what we got, man.
Right? That's great. Let's see.
TJ.
What is it? What 22 isn't telling this, after he makes her watch those shows, she makes him watch the Home Shopping Network show. Right?
We all make sacrifices, fellas.
No, Mrs. 22 is awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, we're lucky guys. I can tell you.
Absolutely.
You're a good one, too.
Well, she even, I texted her during this, and, because you sent me a package that you wanted me to open up on this show.
Oh, yes. Could you just hold on for 1 second?
You just can't leave me like this. What are you doing? What is this? This guy. I'm just playing. I love Brandon. Absolutely love it. Hope y'all are enjoying this show so far. Let's check out what the chat is up to. Lettuce. All are welcome to... Welcome. It is uncensored, right? Right? Now you're just flinging your man thing all over the place.
Sure.
That's great. Oh, hold on. There we go. You're back.
I text my wife. She'd bring me a beer. And she's like, I'm in bed. Sorry.
I don't blame her on that one.
Yeah,
I don't blame her on that one.
Right.
Yes, she is. Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to send you some fun stuff as a thank you for having me on your show. And I love giving...
Dude,
you know this community, man. It's so hard to not get hit by an A-OK throughout a month because there's just so many kind people. I think so many of us are so grateful for what we are able to have because, let's face it, this is a luxury. This is not a necessity. Right. So, if we have a little bit of extra to spread the love,
I love that you just said that, honestly. We've been trying so hard especially as of lately with our oldest son, to express to him the things that we are blessed with and how they are a luxury and how we need to be grateful for them. And just, I don't feel like we get enough of talk like that, where it's like, hey, these are luxury items. Like they don't necessarily mean that you're a big ballin' or anything like that. Don't get me wrong with what I'm saying, but you should be grateful and you should be thankful for what you are being blessed with the opportunity of either acquiring or whatever else the case is. Like,
Yep, my 4-year-old right now is kind of mistreating her toys or her stuff, and we have to like sit her down and tell her like, this is not how we treat our things. This is the we don't have. It's we're lucky we have these things,
right.
And we're always like we worked hard to get the house we're in. Like treat our house well. We love our house. Like this is our home, And
right.
I think that's great. You're instilling that on your son too, man. It's not easy these days.
I'm trying, but dadgum, he's fighting me hard on it. I'm just
so
letting
our 4-year-old, man. So why do you think I'm drinking these beers? I haven't drank in 3 months. I haven't had a beer since Christmas.
Oh, that's called withdrawals, is what that's called.
I just took a break. I'm trying to be healthy. Remember when I injured my back?
That's true. Yeah, and you were in the hospital there for a bit. That's right.
Yeah, I started eating better and dropped like 20 pounds. I go to the gym 3 times a week now. Stopped drinking beer.
Nice. Look at you.
We gotta last for our kids, man. Right? Like, we gotta last like 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, especially with my boy, like, dadgum, he wants to roughhouse and whatnot like that, which, that's what boys do, so I gotta be here for that. But Dad Burn, he's rough. Makes me old. Deuces. Peace out, Colossus. Thank you for hanging out with us. I think that was a bit. That was like, a few minutes ago that he did that. Oh, it was only 3. It's okay. Best community in the world. That's what I'm talking about, Roscoe.
You're here, Roscoe.
Having a giant-sized man-thing is a luxury.
That I do not have, CJ. Ask my wife.
The ManThing Funko is so rad.
I got to get that, Roscoe. I've got to pick that up.
Are you a Funko collector as well?
I used to have some, and then I saw how much space they took up, and I was like, I can't,
Right.
So before I had kids, I had a comic room, right? When it was just me and my wife. And we had our first daughter, and she's like, sorry, your room's going to have to move to the other room. So I moved my comics to the next room, my collectibles. Then we had our second daughter, and I was like, where do I now? She's like, I don't know. And she was nice enough. I share an office with her. So if I were to turn the camera around, it's her computer desk. She's a photographer, so all of her equipment's set up, So I am just grateful I have this little corner to my space to do my YouTube, and then like I'll sit here and just look at my comics and be like, oh man.
Like you said, I mean, great wives that support stuff. Mm-hmm. That's a blessing.
It is. It really is. Like I couldn't do this without her, man. She's a millennial too. She helps me with all the tech stuff. I'm like, does that thumbnail look? I'm like, does the thumbnail look all right? And she's like, hold on a second. And she like fixes it in 2 seconds. I'm like, see, you could do this for me all the time, and it wouldn't take you any time. It takes me an hour to figure this shit out.
That's great. All right, if you don't mind, I'm going to show off this lovely package you have sent me. Swap these around. You did too much. I'm just letting you know off. I don't even know what's in here, but this is already too much, Brandon. But I greatly appreciate it, man.
No, of course, dude.
So here we go. Y'all gonna get the first look at this before I do, and it is Old Man Logan. Nice.
Little reading material.
The Last Ronin. Is this the actual like that story?
I'm not 100%. But I know you're a Wolverine X-Men guy.
I am an X-Men guy.
And I thought it'd be a fun read.
This is awesome.
Any kind of old Logan stuff I've heard. I haven't read it, but I heard it's great. So I was like,
I noticed very much.
Your collection and stuff. You have a lot of stuff you like to read. So
yeah, I try. Dude, like for me growing up, reading was like a little difficult. And so comics really helped me get to a point where I could actually like read and understand what I read, like comprehension wise.
I've heard so many people say that.
Oh, this is fire. X-Men versus Dracula, #1.
I thought I'd give you a little bit of our worlds together, the X-Men and monsters. That's where Storm gets turned into a vampire.
She's got some fangs going on.
Mm-hmm.
See if I can...
She looks evil.
She does. She really does. I'm more interested to see what happens with Storm turning into a vampire than I ever have been with Jubilee turning into a vampire.
Amen.
And I know that may be blasphemy, but I'm just saying, like, I was never a fan of that.
See that?
Let's see. My wifey says, well, We want to buy or build one of the must-haves is a dedicated comic book room. No room, no house. Okay, so we've talked about buying a new home or building a home, and her stipulate like she wants a certain kitchen, and I'm like, I gotta have a comic book room. Statues and slabs, son. Statues and slabs.
It's all about commission. It's all about that. Not commissions. It's all about that compromise. Right?
Compromise. Yes, yes.
Yeah, we'll give you a sick kitchen.
She looks like a possessed Chewbacca.
She totally does.
That's fantastic.
You're not wrong, Mrs. 22.
All right, last one. Gee, man, this is too much.
No, it's not. I know you loved early Iron Man. That is the origin of the Red Skull in that issue.
Tales of Suspense 66. This is, man.
What's great about that, if you read the back of that book, I put on the board, that I got from the Fantastic collection out of Michigan. You remember that story about how the dad left all of his comics to his kid?
No, I haven't heard about that.
So you can Google. It's a documentary come out called "Selling Superman." So this
okay, yeah.
This son, his father collected comics. It was like like a sickness almost. He was a lawyer. He collected all these comics. His kids weren't allowed to touch them.
Oh, I do remember hearing it because Tom and Golden Age Guru, I think, covered this, didn't they? Yeah.
Kids weren't allowed to touch him. They weren't allowed to look at him. And they just took over his whole house. His wife ended up divorcing him. It was very sad, and it hurt the relationship. And then all of a sudden he passes away, and they go into this collection, and he's got Superman 1 and a 7.0. He's got, he had FF48s. And he's on Instagram. He put up a reel, and he's like, "Is this a good issue for these?" He's got 16 of them in near mint condition, And so they had Rage Theo and One True Nerd King Phil had a sale, a live sale, and I grabbed that from him. So that it has the sale date on there. So that is from the Fantastic collection. So that is part of history too, in that it was a collection that was found and has ties to a crazy collecting story.
Here's what you don't understand though, is that like once I have several like Tales of Suspense. That's because I'm going for the complete like TOS 39 all the way to modern day of Iron Man.
I love it.
I don't have this.
I thought
I do not have this book at all.
Did you were talking about your Iron Man in your video, and you were talking about Tales of Suspense, and you mentioned, how many do you have?
Tales of Suspense?
Yeah.
I can look real quick. I say real quick, but like.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I knew you didn't have it, and that's what prompted me to send it.
That's amazing that you, because I haven't really talked a whole lot about it, so like that means the world to me that you sat there and paid enough attention to know what I have or don't. I have 19. I have 19 books.
19. Okay, I knew it was a low number, and you were just talking about that, and I just remember you didn't have that one, and
that's freaking amazing, man.
Of course, I'm going to pay attention to you. Your first introduction to your channel was from Akins when you were doing X-Men stories with Carl Childers, and that's how I first found you. I was like, because I grew up, Sling Blade is just a freaking legendary. I mean, that movie is just so, like, my family. I got a bunch of rednecks in my family, so they're farmers and good old boys and people, I may not be in Alabama, but yeah, they loved that movie, and we did. I mean, Billy Bob Thornton might be one of his best roles.
Yeah.
And so when I saw you reading X-Men with his voice, I tell you, when I say there's days that I'm not having a good day at work, I'll put that on in my pocket and listen to it. I guess the moral of the story: don't let your girlfriend turn into an alien. When you start talking like, this just made me so happy. Like the fact that you took the time to do that and put those pages on, and you sound just like him. I was like, my God, like that's where I started following your channel and watching all your videos and your unboxings. And I can't be up for the top 10 alternatives, but I'll catch you on the rewind. But I did hear you talk about your Tales of Suspense, and I was like, yes. And it's like, what's that one book that I had? That was my only Tales of Suspense book I had. So it's probably meant to be that I give it to someone who's going after it and needs it more.
Man, that's. Well, I'm going to a con this weekend, so I'm gonna be on the lookout.
I don't need anything. I got everything coming in I need.
Oh no, not everything.
Where can you find that, TJ? Go to 22's, go to his videos, and look up Carl Childers Reads X-Men, I think it is, or 22 will tell you.
It's let's see. It's if you go to my channel, should have a was it playlist of story time with Carl Childers. It was a play off of the old there was a radio show that used to do it, and they would do all like the Frankenstein and Seven Dwarfs and John Boy and Billy. That was the show. John Boy and Billy, and they had a story time with Carl Childers segment, and that's where I got it from. And but I decided I was going to do comic books, and I had to have a book though where somebody died, because I have to get the whole "What'd you kill so and so for? What'd you kill so and so for?" So
I was hoping you'd do it tonight. I reckon I'll have the big ones. Mm-hmm. Give me some of them French fried potatoes
and French fried taters and mustard. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that. This has just been my night complete. I don't care what happens for the rest of my weekend. This was the best thing that happened to me this week. That was awesome. That's innovative, dude. That's entertaining. That's what YouTube should be, man. You're blending like multiple medias there.
I'm trying. Thinking out of the box. I appreciate you, though. Thank you very much for the compliments. It's hard for me to take them. What's going on, 3G? Thank y'all for coming and hanging out with us tonight. Appreciate y'all. Yes to TOS 66. Let's see. Awesome books. I know, right? The Mrs. knows me all too well. I was getting teary-eyed, not gonna lie. I was getting teary-eyed.
Man.
Mon, you're a great guy for that, right? Right.
This community is great. We're only here for a short time. We might as well make each other happy and be cool. You know? Like I said, agree. We're lucky, man. We got all these friggin' books and friends and laughs, and it's an escape. Tide Pods, am I doing that?
There's your link, anybody, if you're looking for it.
You will not be sorry, TJ. You will only want more.
Yeah, no, that was I'm from Alabama, so that was
Lettuce, you from Alabama?
Well, I want to say John Boy and Billy came out of South Carolina, is what I think.
Carl gets a colonoscopy. It's hilarious.
There's lots of them. Cinderella Story, all that jazz. It's hilarious.
Oh boy, you guys just sent me down another rabbit hole. Holy crap!
It's morning radio. Yep. I don't know that they still do it. I want to say they retired.
Lettuce is right, man. He's got it.
Nice. Yes.
The connection.
Well, I'm going to end on that, man, because that was too much. That was amazing. I thank you so much for coming on, hanging out, and just showing off all your ManThing and everything else you had to go with it. Amazing collection, amazing tips. Appreciate you very much. Please let everybody know where they can find you at and what you've got coming up that they should check out.
So I'm on YouTube and Instagram under MON Comics. I always post on Instagram. Like if I'm about to drop a video, I'll just make a post. If I'm going on someone's show, I will always let people know. And if I'm having people on, I've started to with my Big Five Live, since I have 4 other people each day. I try to, like, I started it with you guys, 22 with the people I had on with you, is where I dedicate a day to highlighting that person. So I've got that coming up, the Big Five Live on the 27th, and so MON Comics on Instagram, MON Comics on YouTube, Big Five Live on the 27th, and then I try to just, all I have time to do really is drop a video a week for 2 reasons. One, I'm a dad with a kid under 4, 4-year-old and 18-month-old. Right. I work full time. My wife works full time, so that restricts my time there. And then also, like, you can't be buying books all the time. You got to spread out your content, especially with some of the books I'm going after. So, I'll use one video for just the crime suspense stories and talk about pre-code horror, and then save the Daredevil 2 for a different video. Just try to space it out. So, what I got coming up, and then I love going to anyone's live shows. I appreciate you so much for having me on, 22. Like, you're definitely someone in the community I look up to. Your editing's fantastic. You're so good in front of a camera. Like, people who don't know this, who don't do this, like, they don't look at it like us, like, You watch another YouTuber and like you're like, dang, they're good, man. They got it. Or, like, and it's so much fun to see not only your YouTube stuff, but anyone in the chat who is not watching comic or listening to Comically Comics podcast, find it on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcast shows, because it's a great Monday show. I listen to it when I'm at work. I can digest podcasts. And some of y'all, you may not all know this, if you're YouTubers out there, just because I'm not commenting on your stuff, it doesn't mean that I don't have it playing in my pocket and getting you watch hours and listening to it. I try to do that as I can to support the community. I comment when I can, but a lot of the times I'll go like the Monday night lineup. I'll just let that play. I just, want to listen to what people had to say. So thank you again for inviting me on. It was a blast. I'm on vacation right now, at least for tomorrow and the weekend. So
I was gonna say your Friday just started, man.
Mm-hmm. And what a way to start it. This was such an honor. Thank you, 22.
No, thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate you. All right, everybody. Not this upcoming Thursday, but the next Thursday will be another episode 2 of Collecting Uncensored. I'm gonna have Dale of Suspense on, my Iron Brethren. In the meantime, like I said, I'm gonna make sure that in the description, MON's link is there. Mr. Akins has already put it in the chat. I greatly appreciate it. If you don't know Brandon, you should definitely go do yourself a pleasure and go watch his content, sub him up, like his stuff if you like it, of course. And but you're going to. I promise you're going to. Go watch the video he dropped today. That thing, it was awesome, freaking amazing. So in the meantime, thank y'all so much for hanging out with us, and as always, y'all have a good one.